Hello everyone, and welcome back to another CIV 398 assignment tutorial. In this video, we're going to be covering question 5 of assignment 1. It's the last question of assignment 1 that's worth marks, so a lot of you guys might call it quits after this, but between you and I, question number 6, which is the bonus, is nice and easy. Go snag up those bonus marks as fast as you can. Now, question 5, it's actually also pretty easy, and it deals with change of basis. And this is something you guys need to know. I promise you it'll somehow be on midterm 1 or midterm 2. Change of basis, very important, very, very common. It'll at least be one question. So looking at the question, it says let B prime, which is equal to E1 prime and E2 prime, be a new orthogonal basis set that corresponds to a clockwise rotation of the original orthonormal basis set B, which is equal to E1 and E2, by the angle theta. If U, which is equal to 2 comma negative 1 in the original basis set, and U prime, which is equal to 1.67 and 1.48 in the new basis set, determine the angle of rotation theta and the transformation matrix Q. So this question is actually very similar to the quiz question. The only difference is instead of giving you the angle of rotation theta and asking you to solve for U prime, we give you U prime and we ask you to solve for theta. So question is actually not too bad, very similar to the quiz. Now, a little hint between us. Looking at U prime and all those decimals, that usually hints that the angle theta should be a pretty nice number. It shouldn't be anything too crazy. So that's my little hint between us. So to solve this question, I find the best way to figure it out and understand it is by actually showing what's going on. So this is our original basis right here. We have E1 and we have E2. And in that basis set, we have the vector U, which is 2 comma negative 1. And what we're doing is we're changing that basis. So basically, we're doing this. We're taking E1 and E2, and we're rotating them both clockwise by an angle theta. Now, the thing to keep in mind here is that vector U does not change. The location of U in these pictures is the exact same. But since we changed E1 and E2, which is basically changing our coordinate system, U now has different numerical values. In this case, 1.67 and 1.48. So this is physically what's happening. If you guys want to picture it, this is exactly what's happening. So now we have to determine, okay, what is that angle of rotation theta that transforms U into U prime? Well, to do that, we have to look at Q. And Q is that transformation matrix which we also have to solve for. So if we were to move on and say, okay, well, we know that to figure out U prime, we times U by the transformation matrix Q. So this is kind of basic. You guys already know this. The question is, how do we expand this to kind of relate to our situation? Well, if we expand it to 2D, we got U1 prime and U2 prime is equal to Q times U1 and U2. Now, if we look at this right here, this is very nice because we know U1 prime and we know U2 prime. In addition, we already know U1 and U2. The only thing that's missing are some of those components of the Q matrix, namely E1 prime and E2 prime. Because recall, E1 and E2, I already gave them to you. They're 1 and 0 and 0 and 1 respectively. Nice and easy. So the only thing you guys really have to do in this question to start it off is figuring out, okay, what is E1 prime and what is E2 prime? And I can't really show you guys because if I do that, then I actually kind of solve the whole question for you guys. But if you guys are curious on how those are obtained, please refer to the quiz video, which I'll link in the description below. The quiz video for this, I actually showed you guys how to determine those vectors. It's really easy. Don't worry. I'm not doing it because it's hard. It's very easy. I just want to give you guys somewhat of a assignment and not just a straight up tutorial. So again, looking at this, our only unknowns here, E1 prime and E2 prime. Now, let's say we know E1 prime and we know E2 prime. We can actually expand this equation, we can expand that, expand the equation above to create the two following equations, where E1 prime is equal to E1 prime dot E1 multiplied by U1 plus E1 prime dot E2 multiplied by U2. So if we look at this, we seem to know everything, but what we'll actually figure out is that E1 prime and E2 prime are functions of theta. So in the end, our only unknowns in these equations will be functions of theta. So using these two equations, they'll all simplify, so our only unknown is theta. We can solve for theta. And once we know theta, we can actually get explicit values of E1 prime and E2 prime, and we can determine Q by using the formula listed above. So this question, it's not too bad. Hardest part will be figuring out E1 prime and E2 prime. If you guys are having troubles, again, go look at the quiz video. It's not hard at all. You guys will do great. So that concludes question number 5. I hope this video helped you guys at least a little bit trying to figure out what's going on. And with that being said, I guess this is the end of the mandatory part of the assignment. But for those brave souls craving bonus marks, I will see you guys in assignment 6.